This is Dr. Sridhar, back to you with another video session on rotational mechanical system and its associated elements. What are the basic elements we are going to study as a part of rotational mechanical systems, and what is the equivalent mathematical model of every individual components we are going to experience as a part of rotational mechanical systems. So in today's session, we are talking about elements of rotational mechanical systems. Now basically, before starting to rotational system, already we have studied about the translational systems in my previous video. In the translational systems, there are three basic elements. First one is the mass, and next one is the damping. That is nothing but equivalent to, or that is the mathematical equivalent of the frictional force. And third one is nothing but the spring constant. So that describes well about the elasticity nature of any mechanically translating body. So those are the three things we have discussed in the translational mechanical systems. Now in continuation to that, in today's session, I am going to talk about rotational mechanical systems. And first one is nothing but what are the basic elements we are going to experience in the rotational mechanical systems. So first let me start with the elements. So the basic elements are, first one is the momentum of inertia, next one is the torsional spring, and last one is nothing but the dashpot. Except moment of inertia, the remaining two things are same as in translational systems and rotational systems, but only the thing is the way of representing the basic elements are different. That's the basic difference between translational systems and rotational systems. And one more important thing is, instead of mass in the translational systems, we are going to consider moment of inertia in the rotational mechanical systems. Okay. The best example for this rotational system is, let us assume a fan, electric fan. Now, whenever you are switching on that particular fan, it will rotate either in clockwise direction or in anti-clockwise direction based on the connections we are given to that electrical fan. So what happens whenever it switched on, then immediately it starts revolving on itself either in clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction. Suppose now if it is assumed that if it rotated by some angular distance on itself, so what are the units here? So what is the displacement there? The displacement is nothing but the angular displacement. That angular displacement can be represented as the theta. So this is just, now I want to clarify what are the analogous parameters. So if we know the analogous parameter in the translational systems and rotational systems, it is very easy for us to remember many things in the simplest manner. So I am making that attempt. How can we remember the analogous system parameters and the rotational system parameters? That is very important here. So in the translational system, the output of the mechanical system is nothing but the displacement. Generally, X or Y are used to represent the output of translational systems. But in the rotational systems, in the rotational system, the output is nothing but angular displacement. Angular displacement means how many radians this has started revolved. So this angular displacement can be measured on itself, means either in the clockwise direction or in the anti-clockwise direction. Just like now in the translation system, if the body is moving towards the right or towards the left. So in the same manner, in the rotational system also, now whenever the mechanical body starts rotating, in which direction it is going to rotate, either in clockwise or in anti-clockwise. Suppose if it is rotated in clockwise or anti-clockwise direction, how many radians or how many angular degrees this was revolved. That is nothing but the angular displacement is nothing but output of the rotational systems. So this is about output parameters. Coming to the input parameters, in the translational system, the force is nothing but that is the input parameter. So applying the force linearly on one side of the mechanical body, or especially if you are speaking in the translational body, now it starts rotating in the direction, in which direction we have applied the force. So that is about the applying the linear force on any mechanical body having a weight or having a mass of m, and corresponding to that applied force, it starts displaced by x units or y units. Now this happens, this was the scenario in the translational systems. But coming to the rotation systems, in the rotation system, what happens? Now, instead of applying the force, but you have to apply the inputs, or you have to apply the input to the mechanical system, especially in the rotational system. Now, that force must and should be in the nature of twisting nature. So, the twisting force is nothing but torque. So, the input for a rotational mechanical system is nothing but the torque. Output is nothing but the angular displacement. So, input and output is nothing but it is very easy. So, in the translational system, force and displacement, F and X or Y is nothing but this is the input and output parameters. In the rotational systems, torque and angular displacement are input and output parameters. So, twisting force, clearly we have to represent the twisting force. So, that's why the twisting force, that is nothing but the torque or angular displacements, are represented with some curvature arrows. So, it means either in the clockwise direction it is going to rotate, or in anti-clockwise direction it is going to rotate. If it is in the clockwise direction, so the direction of rotation is nothing but like this. Suppose if you are assuming that the twisting force is applied in the anti-clockwise direction, now then the curvature of this representation of this particular force is nothing but like this. So that is a way of representing input quantities and output quantities on the rotational mechanical systems. So this is a brief introduction to the rotational mechanical system. With this understanding, let us proceed with what are the basic components, basic elements we are going to experience in rotational mechanical systems. So first basic component is nothing but moment of inertia, which is nothing but J. And next one is the torsional spring, and last one is nothing but it is a dashpot. Equivalent to J, and this torsional spring is nothing but the way of representation is also the same letter we are going to use to represent the spring, that is nothing but the K, and dashpot also the same letter. In some of the cases, this may also represent with capital D. So these are the letters we are going to use to represent the various basic elements in the rotational mechanical systems. And for this moment of inertia, generally the letter is nothing but the J we are going to represent. So these are the various symbols used to represent the elements of rotational mechanical systems. So next one is, so what exactly moment of inertia means? In the translational mechanical systems, mass stores kinetic energy. Now already we have discussed so many times that so whenever some force is applied at one side of that particular mass, so corresponding to that, how much some of the energy it will be stored inside the mass, which is nothing but kinetic energy. Similarly, in the rotational mechanical system, moment of inertia stores kinetic energy. So some of the energy, now whenever you are starts revolving any mechanical body on itself, then some of the electrical energy it will be converted. It means electrical energy means more exactly this happens in the electrical machines, but more generally if we are speaking, the input force, how much of twisting force we are applying on the rotating mechanical system, proportional to that, some of the energy it will be generated. That energy is nothing but kinetic energy that will be resided in the body itself. So the equivalent of this is nothing but it is called as moment of inertia. So the moment of inertia is nothing but that will be there in the system because of some gravitational forces. Whenever it is rotating in the clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction, what happens? Now it will have some gravitational force. Now always the gravitational force will try to seize the speed of rotations. It means it is going to absorb the total speed. Means it always, the gravitational forces always tries to restrict the speed of rotations or speed of revolutions, or it is going to always acts in the opposite direction to the revolutions. So it means the gravitational force is nothing but it will always acts in the opposite direction to the applied force. So the equivalent of this is nothing but how can we calculate this gravitational force, or how can we develop the mathematical equivalent of this? Means again we are going to depend on the Newton's motion of law, which is nothing but the second law, Newton's second law of motion. With the help of this, the applied force, that is nothing but the twisting force, is directly proportional to the angular acceleration. So this is just like F is equal to ma square type here. Now here torque is directly proportional to acceleration, which acceleration means angular acceleration. So torque is directly proportional to alpha. So this is, if you are removing the proportionality constant, now it will be J into alpha. Now here this is alpha is nothing but first rate of change of velocity, angular velocity. So this is again furtherly, this is nothing but d square theta by dt square. So this theta is nothing but, this is called as a angular displacement, and this omega is nothing but angular velocity. So this alpha is nothing but angular acceleration. So these are the parameter we are going to make use to develop the mathematical equivalent of any rotating mechanical body. So here in this case, so what happens as per the second law of motion, so what happens, this will be equivalent to the gravitational force. So the gravitational force will be there in the system because of its weight. So if the J itself, that is the moment of inertia of the body itself, it is zero if we are assuming, then whatever the opposition, whatever the force or whatever the torque equivalent we are going to get, because of this J is equal to 0 means the force applied to the input torque is also equivalent to 0. So that's why as per the Newton's second law, what happens, applied torque is equivalent to the gravitational force torque, which is nothing but T is equal to Tj. So these here, the gravitational forces are appearing in the system because of moment of inertia. So what is theta, what is alpha, everything we have described here. So finally, the equivalent of this moment of inertia or the rotational body having moment of inertia J can be equivalently represented by using a simple second order differential equation, that is T is equal to Tj is equal to J into d square theta by dt square. This is nothing but whenever you are facing this moment of inertia having J units or 1 unit or 2 units. Now if we want to calculate the equivalent differential equation in order to find out the transfer function of this rotational systems, so simply we can make use of this particular second order differential equation. So that is T is equal to Tj is also equal to J into d square theta by dt square. So this is a mathematical equation. So this mathematical equation is a second order differential equations. Now let me take one more point here. So all the dynamic systems are equivalently represented with differential equation. That statement we have given so many times, that statement can be proved with the help of this simple second order differential equation. So this is the, and graphically in the whatever the pictorial representation of this moment of inertia along with the input and output forces. Now before going to this, let me take that translational systems. In the translational system, what happens, now some force we are going to apply here, so we can find some displacement over here. So applying, so in the same direction, this body having a weight of m or having a mass of m, it starts moving linearly in the direction of the applied force. So this is about, so on one side of this mass unit we are representing the input, on the another side we are representing the output. So this is the way of representing input quantities and output quantities in the translational systems. Now in the same manner, so how can we mark the input quantity and output quantity in the rotation systems means, now here this body itself, it is a rotating body. So this is nothing but it is a rotating one. So rotating one means with respect to what it is going to rotate. So that is nothing but, this is a body called as a shaft. Now this is just a cylindrical type of shape. So with respect to this or based on this or by taking this shaft as a reference axis, so this total body is going to revolve. So this axis is nothing but, this is called as a shaft. So this shaft is also a rotating body, but it is a fixed mechanical body. With respect to that only, the total revolving body revolves around it. So this shaft, on the shaft itself, now the shaft is nothing but it will be extended up to some area. So this is nothing but, this is the shaft. Now in this shaft, now the shaft is rotating. So if you want to transfer, if you want to apply the force to this mechanical body means, first of all, you have to apply that force to the shaft. Now that shaft is again internally connected by some bracing kind of thing. That rotating body will be again internally mechanically connected to the shaft. Whenever you are applying some force on the shaft, now at the same instant or from there onwards with a small delay, the rotating body also starts rotates. So means, now whatever the seat of applying the force, suppose if you want to apply some force, now which force? Rotational force is nothing but twisting force. So you have to apply the twisting force through shaft only. Or you have to inject that twisting force to the mechanical rotating body through shaft terminals. So means the twisting force means next point is what should be the direction. So based on your requirement, if you want to rotate that mechanical body in the clockwise, you can do it, or in the anti-clockwise also you can do it. So in which direction we are applying the force, so in which direction you want to transfer the mechanical input energy, which is nothing but the twisting force to the mechanical body, you have to represent in the shaft terminal only. So that's why whether it is the input, so I have clearly marked here with some angular direction with torque T. So this is the way of representing the input quantity. Now similarly, if the twisting force is applied on the shaft, what happens with respect to that twisting force? Now from there onwards, the rotating body also rotates. So rotating body is rotating means how many angular degrees or how many angular radians that was rotated, which is nothing but the output. So the shaft itself, or on the shaft itself, you have to mark input and output. On one side is enough. Better you draw the input and output at the either at the left side of this mechanical rotating body, that is J, or on the right side. Based on our convenience, you can represent that. So this is the way of representing input and output quantities. So this through this slide we have studied that. Now the way of representing input quantity and output quantity, and whatever the analogous parameters between translation systems and rotation system. And one more important thing we have studied, that the equivalent of the moment of inertia, or that is the rotating body, and whatever the second order differential equation, which is nothing but T is equal to Tj is equal to J into d square theta by dt square. Now next element is torsional spring. So this is already we have studied as a part of translational systems. Now that representing that torsional nature, that is nothing but the spring nature, that is nothing but the elasticity nature, can be represented like this. And again through this also, this is a rotating one, a revolving shaft here. So this is the way of input. That input is nothing but the torque T, and output is nothing but the theta. So whatever the mathematical equivalent of this, so mathematical equivalent is nothing but torque is directly proportional to theta. So how much of twisting force you are going to give, in the same proportion some compression energies will be generated in the body itself. So those are nothing but opposing forces. So this torque is directly proportional to theta, and if you are removing this proportionality constant, K will be added here. That K is nothing but the stiffness constant. So this always, this because of this elasticity nature, what happens? Some opposing force and because opposite force because of this elasticity of spring will be appeared. So which is nothing but the Tk. So again Tk and T as per the second law of motion of Newton's. Now we can equate applied force is nothing but now force generated because of elasticity nature of spring. So that is T is equal to Tk, which is nothing but the K theta. So this is, of course, it is a simple algebraic equation. So this is the equivalent mathematical model of spring. And last element is dash part. If a torque is applied on dash part, that then it is opposed by an opposing torque due to the rotational friction of the dash part. Now let me take the fan as an example. Whenever you are switching on the power supply to the fan, now slowly it picks up the speed. Now what might be the reason? One thing is nothing but the system itself, it requires some time to establish the required amount of torque. That is the one thing. It is a technical reason. Now practically if you are speaking, now just before the switching on that particular electrical appliance, what happens? Now in and around that fan, that air, it will be maybe in the constant nature. Now whenever you are switching on the power supply, now from there onwards what happens? Some of the air, it will be, or there may be a chance. So it will also create some opposition force or opposite forces on the rotational directions. So if it is rotating in the clockwise direction, because of that air, what happens? The air may inject or air may be blown in the anti-clockwise direction. So because of that, what happens? There may be a slight disturbance in the velocity, or the fan itself, it is going to take some more extra time in order to overcome the opposite forces generated because of air friction and windage forces. So this is How can we bring this concept into the mathematical equivalent means? Now that is nothing but just like a frictional force. Now that friction is nothing but for better understanding. I'm not going in depth into the mechanics or in the electrical dynamics of the systems. So in that cases, in order to simplify that, I am taking the air friction as the friction created by the environment in order to overcome or in order to restrict the velocity of that particular motion of any electrical or mechanical appliance. That is nothing but the rotating body, I mean to say. So always this frictional force is in the opposite direction to the velocity of the motion. So torque generated by is nothing but it is directly proportional to the velocity. So this is also equivalently represented as a TB. So this is nothing but if you want to overcome this, if you want to replace this proportionality constant, we can make B into velocity. So BV. So this is B into d theta by dt. Now this is also equivalent to what? So applied torque. So T is nothing but B into d theta by dt. So this is the first order differential equation. So whether it is first order or zeroth order or second order or third order, whatever it may be, it is a dynamic system. So dynamic system can be equivalently represented in differential equation form. So here, whatever the TB, that is the opposing torque due to the rotational friction of the dashpot. So what is this dashpot here? So in order to bring the actually what happens in the mechanical system, because see, if you are taking the translation systems, in the translation systems, now friction it will be generated between the two contact surfaces. So in order to bring the actual scenario into the mathematical modeling, now that friction part or where the friction is existing in the mechanical system, now that point equivalently we are representing with a dashpot. So here in the dashpot, what exactly the dashpot means? Dashpot is nothing but now there is a solid cylinder. In that one jock it will be moved up and down based on the frictional forces generated because of hydraulic liquid in the jock. So this is nothing but blindly we can assume that this could be the equivalent of frictional forces. So that made me to choose dashpot instead of the friction existing between any two contacting surfaces, or because of anything if friction comes into picture. So equivalently that can be replaced with a dashpot arrangement. So this is about the dashpot here, and B is nothing but that is the frictional coefficient, that is the proportionally friction coefficient can be represented as B. In some of the cases this also represented as a capital D also, but majorly in this analysis I am using capital B as the coefficient for friction. So these are the three elements we have studied in today's video session, and the mathematical equivalent of three components also we have studied. So this is the basic elements available in the rotational mechanical systems. Now I think with this brief presentation I can conclude today's video session with different mathematical equivalents or that is nothing but the differential equations of various basic components in the rotational mechanical systems. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you very much.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.